Welcome to the Calmer Self podcast. I'm Nadine. Join me to learn how to connect with the calmer version of yourself. I'll share with you my tips and coping strategies for reducing feelings of stress, overwhelm and guilt so that you can live a productive life with ease and joy. And there'll be inspiration from other wellbeing therapists, experts in relaxation and fellow calm crusaders. Well, hello everybody. Today I have got the absolute pleasure of talking to the effervescent Sam and Rehan. Now, Sam is a high-impact wellbeing professional, providing stress management to workplaces, communities, and charities. She is a professional laughter facilitator and is passionate about delivering wellbeing to all people. So welcome, Sam. I'm so pleased to be talking to you today.
Wonderful to be here, Nadine. And a big hello to everybody.
So lovely to chat to you. And I know everyone's going to love hearing what you've got to say today. So laughter. We all know that it's good for us, don't we? We've been told, we know, we all know that having a good giggle is good. We feel good afterwards. And I say to a lot of my clients, when they catch themselves with critical self-talk, that kind of thing, just notice it. With a light heart, just have a bit of a giggle at yourself and that will help you relieve your stress. Now, I say that, I feel it, my clients get it, but I don't really understand the science behind it. And I know you really do because this is your area of expertise. So could you just explain to everyone a little bit about why it is so good for us, why it's such a wonderful thing to embrace?
Absolutely. So there's so much wonderful science around laughter, about 50 years. And the main thing is that the health benefits kick in when you laugh about for 15 minutes. I mean, people say that sounds like a long time, but we laugh a lot more when we're in company.
Yes.
But the main thing is, if you look back to when you last had a really good belly laugh, the main thing you probably weren't aware of is that you took in a lot of oxygen. So when we laugh a lot, and I'm just going to laugh now because I feel great.
I know we'd giggle.
And I'm demonstrating that because what's happened is we're moving, the organs are moving, and we're taking in more oxygen. And life is oxygen and movement. So if there's only one thing you remember, why is laughter fantastic for you, is we take in more air, which is fabulous for the whole body and the brain. The brain is 2% of weight, but uses 20% of your oxygen levels. Isn't that amazing?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And there's other things that kick in. So we've got happy, feel-good chemicals called endorphins. They get released. But even more simply, you can't be stressed and laughing at the same time.
Yeah, no, I love that.
So it's a signal to the body that if you're laughing a genuine laugh, you must be safe, must be okay.
Yes, it is, isn't it? It's giving those messages, sending those messages to everything that's going on in our body. So no, I really, really love that. And that's explained so simply, thank you, and beautifully.
You're welcome.
I love that. And you touched on something there that I think is quite important actually about being authentic. Now, I myself have attended laughter yoga classes where it's a group and and the main feeling is being a bit self-conscious, feeling a bit silly and feeling a bit like, oh, that's not real, and I have done some work with you and you make everybody feel comfortable and feel that it's okay to laugh and everything. So obviously it is important to be authentic, how we laugh in a proper way, but what would you say to people who maybe are avoiding embracing this because they're a bit nervous and a bit self-conscious? What would you say to encourage people?
Yeah, and I would say it's normal to feel like that. And we laugh a lot as children. Children laugh a lot of the time, hundreds of times a day, because they're playful. And as we get older, life is happening, and laughter is not about pushing away negative emotions. It's not about ignoring the reality, but laughter is, during this moment, what we can do perhaps is access a natural resource, and laughter is a natural resource.
Yes.
And what I do is invite laughter. So I've got this huge thing about in my group work, individuals, that I'm not going to enforce it. I'm going to invite it. And what's really important, Nadine, is that there's days, and it happens to me, that there's times where somebody might not be able to access their laughter for whatever reason. It could be in pain, something could have happened, and perhaps they can smile. And even if they can't smile, they can soften.
Yes.
And so I like that. So if you're not laughing, you're smiling, because smiling releases endorphins, makes us feel better, or you can soften. And what I do when we have a face-to-face wonderful group sessions is always have chairs at the side, and I say to anybody, at any point something feels uncomfortable, doesn't feel right, tune into your body, you can move away, take a seat at the side, or you can leave. And on the video sessions, I talk about at any time you can mute, or you can leave the session, or you can close the camera. And it's so important, Nadine, because we don't know what's happening. And I know we're going to talk about my book later, but in my sessions, and I've been doing this for about 5 years now, over 5 years, I've had wonderful people come up to me to say, I love that. And you know, I lost my mum 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was able to laugh today. Or I haven't laughed like that for years. Or actually, a lady came up to me and said, I had a mastectomy 8 days ago. So when we're with wonderful, we're wonderful humans, we all have stories, we'll all have things going on, but we don't know exactly what's occurring. And I'm very, very mindful of that. And I always say to people, when we're laughing, it's okay if the person next to you, the person opposite you, the person on screen is not laughing. So that's important. So going back to your question is that to just be mindful that perhaps we can access laughter right now, and maybe they can access their laughter or smile later.
Yeah, it's so right, isn't it, what you've just said there, and I love that invitation, because that just takes the edge off it, doesn't it? You're not forcing it, you're not going, you've got to laugh, because I think that's what people are scared of sometimes. But that invitation, and I know you hold a lovely space for people, real life or online, and just having that facility to go, you can leave, you can turn your screen off, you can sit back, you don't have to laugh. It takes that pressure off, doesn't it? And you're absolutely right, the emotions that can come up, we don't know what everybody's story.
We don't know. And also in the moment, what the thing is, because laughter is 30 times more likely to happen is in company. So there's a lot of research that shows that. So somebody can come, and I just say be open. And one of the things we talk about is let's give yourself permission, and I talk about this in my book, to access more relaxation, more laughter, more happiness, and just see what happens in that moment. And I don't use jokes. So it's very similar to laughter yoga. And then what happens is when people are watching each other, because laughter is catching. It's a social language.
It is that. We laugh at each other, don't we? We do. I know I do. Laugh at things perhaps I shouldn't. There is that as well. But I think, you've touched on some really valuable points there. It brings up emotions. We don't know. You don't know what's going on for everyone in your group, personally, when you work with people. And sometimes they don't know themselves, do they? What emotions are going to come up, what we're going to release. And I know, myself included, sometimes when I laugh, tears come, and emotions can change, can't they? It's fluid as you're going through that process. And sometimes I'm just like, well, why has that made me cry? What's that all about? It can change, can't it? So again, can you explain that, why that's so beneficial, just to let it happen?
Really good question. It's all about, and an actor a couple of years ago said to me that laughing and crying live next door to each other. It's very interesting. And it's a form of release. And how often do many of us stop? And for me, laughter wellbeing, it's all about being playful, because if you're playful, you're going to be able to access that laughter. And it's okay, sometimes people are actually, it's tears of joy. And the other part of that is, normally nearly every session I do, somebody comes up to me privately and said to me, Sam, can you please explain to me why that at this particular funeral or this particular gathering, instead of crying or instead of being still, I laughed. And I talk about, what happens is sometimes, we're caught up in the moment and the body can't quite get there for laughter, sorry, for crying or emotion. And it goes to laughter. And it's really common. And I remember one particular lady who said to me that that particular episode for her, I think it was a great grandmother, happened like 40, 50 years ago. And she was carrying it with shame. And I said, no, I've done that. She was, thank you. And I always mention that now. And then the other thing is there's moments where people want to laugh in a session and there's tears of relief. Hence why I have chairs at the side. You know, they feel free to leave. So it's just a human. And it's almost like, and one of the things I share is the year I found laughter, because I found laughter found me, the year I was doing a lot of work back in 2015, I cried more in that year than in any year in my life, because I was giving myself permission to be able to access emotions. And people feel good when you talk, when we share, because we are more similar than dissimilar.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I love that giving permission. You know, maybe we don't do that enough. I think it's something to actually go, to be open. You said that, be open to it, to receive and just go with it. And I know one of the emotions that sometimes comes up is guilt, isn't it? You know, that can come up. Yes. So giving yourself permission just to feel whatever comes up, and it's okay and natural. It's nice that you say that, you know, it's so common, isn't it? And yes, I know I've laughed sometimes when I think that's not quite appropriate, but it is what it is, isn't it? So
absolutely. And the whole thing is about laughing with each other rather than laughing at each other, and just to be mindful that there's a number of us who unfortunately have in the past been laughed at, maybe perhaps by a group of children in a playground or other situations. So this is where I do individual work, because people come up to say, I'd love to come to your laughter group, but for me it's social anxiety, or something's happened in the past where I'm triggered. And again, for many of us, laughter is almost like a normal reaction, a normal feeling, a normal resource. But it'd be great if we could be mindful that for some of us, it's not. I mean, in my book, I talk about this wonderful chap who he laughed openly. It was wonderful to hear his belly laughs and his wonderful energy. And then he shared in the group, he said, do you know what? He said, I've not laughed like that for 36 years. And we looked at him. Wow. And he said to me, it's because age 14, you know, I was laughed at by a group of older girls who said that he had a terrible laugh. And he laughed for the rest of that time to my session like this, holding it back. And when I hear things like that, it just makes me think about how important it is that we share and share with each other if it happens naturally. And then we've all got stories, and it's just being together. And laughter is a social language. I love it. I think the sound of laughter is fantastic.
We can, like, it goes through countries, goes through language barriers, doesn't it? Laughter is there, isn't it? But how lovely for you to be able to give that man that gift, that opportunity to share. And you're right, you know, that how many people cover their mouth when they're laughing? How many? I know as a child, I was always told off, like, for giggling. So maybe I've got some association with, like, oh, you mustn't go. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at that, but yeah, it's interesting.
Nadine, that resonates. Resonates, because I got told off for my father for laughing too loudly. It was a cultural thing.
All the more. Maybe, yeah. When you're told not to giggle, you just want to giggle more, don't you? There you go. But yeah, very, very interesting. Really, really interesting. You've made a few references to your wonderful book, which I have here. Laugh More.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And it says the 9-step laughter wellness journey will help you to laugh more. And it says soar in your health, career and relationships. And actually it's totally that, isn't it? It's laughing more, embracing everything that you teach people, everything that you help people with, that you facilitate. It just helps you have a better life in every area, doesn't it? And I love
every area. Confidence and health and a number of things, actually. And that's what's happened to me. I mean, people say, oh, you know, you do stress management, you know, and I say to them, yes, I do, but I have teenage children, I have a full life, I have days when I can't laugh. And they say, really? I said, yes, because life happens to me. And I share that I've got a child that's got additional medical needs, and people say, well, how do you laugh if it's difficult? And one of the things I talk about in the book and with yourself here is movement. So if laughing and smiling is difficult, move, because what happens is, you're probably aware, Nadine, with the wonderful work that you do in relaxation, is when we're stressed, anxious, pressured, we're in our heads. And what movement, and what movement does, it helps us to move in the bigger part of us,
that flow,
the body.
Yeah, and we do, as well, we hold ourselves tight when we're stressed, don't we? That flight or fight or freeze thing. And you're doing this, you do, and I tend to copy
I'm swaying. I'm swaying because it's a wonderful exercise, it's a group exercise.
So was it you that said, I can't remember, about it's same as rocking a baby, it's that comforting, that kind of thing, and it's
the swaying. So anybody watching this now, if you sway, not forward and back, but
I know
to right,
I do that sometimes
left.
too.
And then and the question, Nadine, people say to me, well, if you're not going to tell jokes and we're not watching anything funny, how are we going to laugh? So in the laughter wellbeing, very similar to laughter yoga, but there's no yoga positions, is we do group exercises. So we don't do any individual exercises. I'll do one very quickly now with you, Nadine, if you're following. So we start to sway. Perhaps we're palm trees on a wonderful island, the sun shining, a wonderful breeze. Or we could be sitting here. Imagine we're being rocked as a baby, that wonderful sensation. And then I say to the group, let me show you first. And I'm going to add a little giggle. Just, you know what? Just thinking about laughing makes me laugh. It does. It does. And then I'm going to add a little giggle to the sway.
That makes me laugh.
So very much like that, and it's catching because I'm watching you, and and it's genuine. I mean, yes, a little as a facilitator, I'm slightly exaggerating a little bit, but I do remember I do laugh a lot because it's the work I do, and I had a session this morning, so it's funny because my cheeks are still a little bit from this morning.
They're there, but it just changes everything, doesn't it? Moves everything in your body, which is brilliant, isn't it?
It does.
And I'm sure it wasn't just us doing that then, Sam. I'm sure everyone was doing it too. And I love that. And it's something that you can do anywhere, can't you? Which is brilliant. I so love that. So I'm going to have a little quote from your book, if that's okay, where you say, happier, healthier people achieve more at work and beyond. And as we've already said, this facilitates every area of our life. Now, I know I get quite a few people who come to me who need to reduce their stress, but they're a little bit frightened of actually maybe being too chilled. They think they can't function if they're too relaxed. So there is resistance there sometimes, which is fine because we can work with that. But do you find sometimes that people think, and you've already touched on it a bit, but maybe people go, oh, I can't possibly be taken seriously if I'm giggling. I don't want to embrace laughter because I need to be serious. Or do you get that at all? And if you do, how do you
it resonates what you're saying. It resonates what you're saying because I did it with a group of bankers last week. And the thing is, what happens is the head gets involved. The head goes, oh, you sound a bit strange. What they're going to think about you? But your body goes, yeah, I'm getting more oxygen. I'm getting endorphins. My blood pressure's being lowered. The heart rate feels fantastic. It's great for the heart. Dopamine, serotonin, all these names are amazing chemicals that are flowing. So it's natural. But what happens is when you are operating at high efficiency and pressure, it's almost like you've kind of got used to it. You think, I'm achieving a lot. And if I move away from that, I'm not going to achieve it. But what I'm going to share with you is that when you are too much, and the thing is, there's positive stress and there's negative stress. So positive stress feels good, great for a short period of time. It gets you motivated. But negative stress, it feels pressured. It makes you feel anxious. Now, the thing about laughing and all the other wonderful relaxation things that you do, Nadine, is that it activates more the thinking brain. So when we are stressed, anxious, pressured, the emotional brain involved, the fight or flight, freeze or faint. And what happens is the blood flow isn't efficient around the thinking because the body's going, priority now is getting blood flow to the hands and the feet in case you need to fight, flee. But when you move towards relaxation with the wonderful work you do and the laughter stuff I do, it moves you to more the thinking brain. You are more alert, more focus, concentrate better, communicate better, respond rather than react. So when we talk about those terms, like you're going to be able to think more clearly, who doesn't want that for work? Who doesn't want that for amazing relationships and conversations? So that's the important thing. And when you care and passionate about your work, you will have a little bit of stress. Use stress, positive stress.
Yeah.
But when you are more relaxed, you're going to actually work more efficiently and get more done in a short period of time. And I don't say this lightly. You know, I go into some big places which are, you know, they're highly pressured. And people have said back to me, said, you know what? I feel really energized, or actually I've slept better, I'm thinking more clearly. And they're amazed. But what all it's doing, very similar to your relaxation techniques, is moving you away from stress towards relaxation, where you feel great and you work great. So if you're feeling great, you're going to work great.
Yes, exactly. Functioning much better, aren't you? And it's so important, isn't it? Like you say, it's that stepping away from that, just even if it's only for a moment, is so beneficial, isn't it? Just to be able to do that, and learning how to do that in whatever shape or form is so valuable, isn't it? So I love that explanation, and it's true. And when you think about, especially I think back to some of the places I've worked, and when there is laughter, you just everything just goes with the flow much better, doesn't it? You know, I've never understood it really, but just that feeling has always been there. And then when everyone's
it's
serious,
a connection.
and it's a heaviness, isn't it? When everyone's serious and you can't talk, and you're so
it's linked to safety, Nadine. I think when we hear laughter, and there's this thing about, which I talk about in my book, which is it's a theory. They think thousands of years ago, the anthropologists that study humans, is that perhaps a group of us, I think it's called the relief theory, a group of us were running perhaps from disaster or war, and we stopped and we started making this noise, and then we looked at each other and we realized we were safe. And this kind of moved along to that when we hear laughter, it's a sign that everything's okay in that moment. So everything's okay. We're connected. And also alongside water, food, what would you call it, accommodation, all that, it really important is to have that social connection. We want to belong. And when we have laughter in the group, then there's a sense of belonging. It's so needed.
It's one of our basic needs, isn't it, to connect and to feel connected.
Needs, absolutely. That's the word I was getting. Basic need.
You're absolutely
And so when it goes in the office and we hear that, it's like we must be getting on well together. There's team bonding, you know. But we're very good at picking up if something feels false, and I think especially around smiling. So we talk, when smiling, people say, well, does smiling help? Smiling is the start of laughter. And for a genuine smile, we use the muscles around the mouth and the eyes. It's called a Duchenne smile. It's been studied for years, more longer than laughter, actually, a Duchenne smile. And I think they were saying about 60% of us can pick up when there's a fake smile. So what I would encourage you to do,
I was just thinking, it's that smiling with the eyes as well, isn't it? And it's just, some people are very good at doing that. I wish I could do that posy smile, but I can't. It's everything or nothing, you know. it's just the way it is, isn't it? So so it's coming from the heart, isn't it? So
and to help to people listening in, watching, is that, well, how can I smile? Get moving. Or perhaps bring to yourself a memory or an image of something that helped you feel good in the past. Perhaps an amazing holiday, a loved one getting a lovely hug. Perhaps you had a lovely piece of cake, or a lovely memory, a party. My one that I talk about in my book is my son, when he was about 18 months, and he was there, and I turned around, I was doing something, turned around, and he grabbed the facial tissues, and he was pulling them out like a conductor. He pulled up every single tissue in the box. And when I think about him sitting on the floor, because he was just amazed, because I think he thought, I'll pull that out, but why is there another one coming out?
Another one.
And it was literally only children. Yeah, he was doing this. And even now, when I think of that memory, it brings a smile to my face. So I was talking about, have a filing cabinet of wonderful memories.
We've all got them, haven't we? If we just take a bit of time to think about it. We've all got those lovely little triggers, which is brilliant. Wonderful. And you've talked about the smile, and I know you said earlier that if you can't laugh, you can smile. And then I think you said or you can soften, which I really love. And I do what I call a inner smile meditation with a lot of my clients. I do it for myself as well. And it is that kind of smiling just for yourself, you know, because most of the time I'm facilitating meditation, it's like people are lying down, they're not looking at each other, they're not connecting. Well, they are, but not seeing each other. And it's sometimes people go, well, how do I do that? But they can connect. And that is so, and I think softening, I've never thought of it as that way, but it creates an inner glow, doesn't it? So again, you know, can you talk a bit about that? If we can't laugh, we can smile, and if we can't do that, we can soften.
I think it's a process, and I think, I mean, this is quite a powerful story I'll share with you. It's a true story. It's a wonderful senior lady that came to one of the groups, and she shared this with me, and she said, spread it far. She goes, please spread this because it helped me. But she said on one particular day, she was walking along the village high street, and a stranger walked past her, a younger man, and he smiled at her. And in that particular moment, she couldn't smile back. For whatever reason, she just couldn't smile back. And he carried on walking. And she said to me that evening, she was alone in her own flat, feeling lonely. But as she sat there, she remembered that wonderful young man that smiled at her earlier in the day. And as she remembered that memory, she started to smile.
Oh, beautiful,
yeah. And she said to me, I get shivers when I talk about it. She said to me, do you know what? Because people say to me sometimes, they say, we want to smile more. People don't always smile back. And she said to me, sometimes people smile. You can send a smile out. You've done your job by sending a smile out. But when people are ready to receive it, they will.
Yeah.
I
think that's the thing, isn't it? To really actually go, and again, just thinking, you know, smiling for you, and it doesn't have to be responded to immediately, does it?
Yes.
But it will be. You're sharing your joy, if you like, aren't you? You're giving it out to the world.
And you will receive at some point, and it's giving. I mean, there's so much research around when you're a volunteer and you give, you feel better, and it absolutely promotes your health. So many studies on this. And how wonderful that just by smiling at somebody on video or outdoors, that is an act of giving. And this wonderful lady, she received it and she softened. Softening is feeling better. Softening is moving towards relaxation in a very gentle way that's authentic and natural. And it's just that fun. And I think when we soften, we feel into embodiment, we're feeling into ourselves. So actually in this particular moment, because that's all that matters right now, I'm feeling better. You know, we might not feel great, but I'm feeling better.
It's to whatever degree, isn't it? We are feeling better. We can do that for ourselves. And I think actually just by every time you've said the word soften, and even when I said it, it feels comforting, doesn't it? I said that's going to be my word of the day, soften. I really like that actually. And you brought to mind a memory I had then actually when I was little, when I used to sit on the bus with my mum. She would always smile. And as a little child, I was quite embarrassed going, what are you smiling at? You know, she would just sit there and smile. I don't know, because I never questioned it. I never said, what are you giving out your joy? I don't know what she was doing. But I like to think now that is what she was doing. But I just remember feeling a bit like, oh, she's smiling for no reason.
Oh, what a wonderful memory of your mum.
You just reminded me that one. So I'm going to keep that one. That's lovely. Yeah,
how Thank lovely. You. And I know my children, they're teenagers. It's like, Mom, what are you doing? You know, it's cringy. But I think as you get older, some of the inhibitions fall to the side.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
And I think if you can do it for yourself, and the other thing I would say is reach out to people, because if it's difficult, it's easy if you reach out to a friend, family, loved ones, even a teacher, and just say, I would like to smile and laugh more. And ask for help.
How many people
think
say
about
that?
And think about people that are a bit more upbeat and say, I'd like to smile and laugh a bit more. You know, and I know one particular senior, they actually created an album, photo album full of smiling pictures. So they went through, you know, a lot of us have drawers of pictures and things. I know a lot of people have it obviously on their devices, but I still have pictures all over the place. And then they put together a lovely album, and it's only pictures where people were laughing and smiling.
Lovely. I love that. How lovely. We can all create that.
And that was for somebody. And that was for somebody that was bedbound. So they had that next to them.
How lovely. That is beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, lovely. So now you're quite similar to me, Sam, that you're very bubbly and effervescent, and we talk about, I'm quite excitable, but we talk about helping people be calm and helping people reduce our stress. And you've touched a little bit on how your life is day to day, but perhaps you could explain to people how you connect with your calm center, and maybe talk us through a typical day, and the fact that it is up and down, and how things work for you, but how you sort of just keep yourself in check maybe, and just make sure you're looking after you as well.
Yeah, great question, Nadine. And the thing that I really work with is I have a list of resources. So a list of resources are things that self-soothe me.
Lovely.
So if I'm feeling a little bit of a pickle, something's happened, feeling a bit rushed because I'm a human being, anybody who's got a pulse, it's got stress, including myself. Honestly, that's the way it is. If you're alive, you have stress. It doesn't matter if I'm a stress management consultant, I have stress. So this little list, I have it in my wallet, I have it on the phone, I have it on the kitchen wall. It's a list of things that self-soothe me. So for example, I've got pets. So with my wonderful guinea pigs, holding the guinea pig. Another one is having hot chocolate. Stopping, closing my eyes for 5 minutes. There's a particular jump I love. It's lovely color, it's got lovely touch. I'll put that on. Just the color, the touch of it makes me feel wonderful. I have a wonderful friend. I've got a couple of friends. I know which friend to ring if I want some, just holding that space. And I can say to her, hey, I'm feeling a bit of a pickle. I don't need advice, but I'd love you to just listen while I can just go bleh. And there's a couple of things I do. Yeah, a couple of things I do. For example, one is I put a hand on my heart and stop and think, in this moment, I don't have all the answers. But I'm going to stop, breathe. As I'm doing that, the oxytocin, which is a wonderful bonding hormone, flows. Yeah. So the answer to your question is that I have a resource list, and all our lists will be different. Another one is music. Certain songs that are timeless to me, that I know they're 3.5, 4 minutes, and I feel better. And the children always associate. They say, "Oh, Mum, you're playing that song," and it's lovely. Mum used to play that song, and they associate it with me. And the thing is, Nadine, the things I'm talking about take maximum maybe 8 minutes. So I stop for between 3 to 8 minutes, and there's always time to find 2 minutes somewhere. There is
exactly.
Yeah.
For you.
And that's what I would recommend. Get your list of resources.
Yes, I think that's a wonderful idea, to have a list somewhere that you can check on, because when we are having a moment, we can't always remember, can we? And I call it snatching a moment of calm. And this is what I teach as well. Like you say, everyone's got their own toolbox that they build up, but remembering to do it in the moment sometimes isn't easy. But if you've got a little list, where you've got something or visual or some prompts, I love that you can actually just go, right, this is my list. And I suppose the more you do it, the more you remember to do it, don't you? It's a practice, isn't it?
It's like anything else. And the thing is, what you touched on, the reason why we might not remember is because when we're highly stressed, anxious, again, going back to the thinking brain, the emotional brain, we're foggy, And one of the things I remember is, if I can't get hold of a friend, even leaving a voicemail to a friend, I feel better because I feel I've offloaded. Some people like to hold things in. I like to go, this has happened.
And it's that's beneficial, isn't it? Sometimes just to have a little, and it's lovely. Whatever. To get it out.
And I know when I've written that list, I've done it when I'm really calm. So I know it works for me. It's a very personalised thing.
Yes. That is the thing, isn't it? Build that up when you're in that lovely, calm, safe space, and then it's there for you when you need it, isn't it? That's I love that. So love that. But it's beautiful. You've given us tons and tons of advice there, and we have your lovely book, Laugh More by Rehan. How can
also people... Audible as well.
That's right. You told me that, didn't you? Is it your voice?
Yeah.
Have you recorded it?
I actually narrated it. I narrated
How brilliant is that?
Nearly 6 hours.
I was going to say that, that's got to be quite a task, isn't it? Well done, you. I love the sound of that. So yes, audio as well. Brilliant. But people will want to get in touch with you and find out more about what you do and what you provide for people. So how can everyone get in touch with you? What's the best place to find you?
It'd be wonderful to hear from people. But my website is Sam Rehan, SAMREHAN for November.com. So samrehan.com is, you can reach me, or hello@samrehan.com.
Brilliant.
Be a Pleasure to hear from you.
Brilliant. And I know you've got lots of stuff out there on social media. People can connect with you, can't they? Which is lovely. So I'd like to just bring our lovely conversation to a close, although I could talk to you for hours. Have you got any words of wisdom you'd like to share with everyone, something that they can take away from today, something that you might want to share? You've given tons there, but something maybe just to sum up the essence of what you're offering.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think what comes to mind is anything worth doing, it's worth doing daily. So for me, so anything worth doing is worth doing daily. So for me, find time to have a laugh, to smile, move anywhere that feels great, whether you're swaying, walking in nature, ring a friend. You know how often we think, oh, we'll ring that person tomorrow, but all we have is today.
Yes, yeah.
All we have is today. So make the most of it. Do the things you love.
Yeah.
You know, reach out to people. Read a little bit of the book that you've always wanted to read.
Yeah.
Reach out to somebody. Yeah. Have a laugh. Watch some comedy. But all you have today is, so anything worth doing is worth doing daily. Yeah.
Really, because I've heard that anything worth doing is worth doing well, but this is so much better. Anything worth doing is worth doing daily. Perfect. I so love that. And I think it's about creating these wonderful habits, isn't it? And caring for yourself. So I love that. Beautiful, beautiful sharing that with everyone. So as I say, I've loved chatting to you today, and you've given us so much insight into the power of laughter and the science behind it. And I'm sure that everyone has really enjoyed doing a little bit of swaying and giggling as well, which is brilliant. And I just think for everyone that's listening, just take those words of wisdom with you and laugh more. Definitely. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Absolute big pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Calmer Self podcast. Please rate and review. And if you want support, advice, accountability and inspiration to make the changes you need to manage your stress and live your life with ease and joy, check out the Calmer Self Facebook page. There's also more information on LinkedIn, Nadine award-winning changemaker, and please visit my website www.calmerself.co.uk.